Hey everyone, my name is Danilo Petrovic.
I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Denis Kudla.
I'm Evgeny Donskoy.
I'm Henry Laaksonen.
I'm Peter Torebko, and you're listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Good evening, tennis fans. Here we are after what was quite an epic day. We saw Sasha Zverev claiming his second World Tour finals against Daniil Medvedev after beating the man we're here to talk about today in the semis. It's Novak Djokovic. We've had some news coming out talking about obviously the vaccine mandate in Australia. And the question we're here to ask is, will Djokovic play? And joining us today, we've got John Silk. But first, we'll move over to JG. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, very good, mate. Obviously, busy day with tennis in the final of the ATP finals. Congratulations to Zverev. But this is a very different topic. It's one we got so many questions about during that final. It kind of overshadowed it, if I'm honest. There were so many people asking, what do they think is going to happen with the Australian Open? The big news is you now have to be vaccinated to play the Australian Open. I know there was a leaked email from the WTA a few weeks prior, and they wasn't sure whether this was going to be as strict as it is now, or whether you could just either have to quarantine if you've not had the vaccine, or if you have had the vaccine, there's no quarantine. But right now, if you've not had the vaccine, you cannot play. And we don't know with Novak Djokovic whether or not he's vaccinated. He's not declared it himself. He's not said he's not vaccinated. He's not said he is vaccinated, so which has led it just for people to work it out themselves and come draw conclusions. And well, I'll let you. I'm interested to know what you guys think about it. But John, what's your thoughts?
Well, we're soon going to find out if he's vaccinated or not. I mean, in the next sort of probably 4 to 6 weeks, we'll find out, because if he currently isn't, then of course he'll have to be pretty quick if he wants to get the double one, so to speak. But yeah, we're going to find out. And I think his line, we're going to look at his tweet in a minute, I know, but his line, which says something along the lines of, we'll see, suggests to me that he's vaccinated. But I'll be interested to know what you guys think, and also what our audience thinks too.
Well, I think that there's a sort of, I wouldn't say he's like playing into a little bit of narrative, but I think he likes to keep people guessing a little bit. I don't think he wants everybody to know all of his business all of the time. It's very intrusive, as you know, and some of these people, they like to have their privacy, and they would like to release stuff to the media when they want to release it, not when everybody's clamoring at their doors, trying to knock their doors down, trying to get a photo of him getting his vaccine or whatever it is. We don't know. So I think he likes
the virus is going to wait for him. Yeah, right. Of course, the virus will wait for.
Exactly. It's waiting for him. So you got it right, John.
Let's see the statement. So the statement here from sort of Tennis Australia is this: the Australian Open has confirmed that all players looking to compete in the tournament will need to be fully vaccinated. The COVID vaccination status of world number one Novak Djokovic remains unknown. He's not the only one. We've had Sabalenka come out and she's pretty opposed to it, but there's rumors now she's taken it. Medvedev, he's not committed to the fact that he's had the vaccine, yes or no, we don't know. Tsitsipas, another one. We know he's having surgery now, so is this timed quite fortunately that he's having surgery when he doesn't have to then take the vaccine because he'll be missing it anyway. But the big news is people want to know about Djokovic, and there's a lot of people in the live chat now saying they think he's taken it. I've got you above me, Ben, saying you think he's already been vaccinated, and I think John thinks he has as well, right? Is that a fair statement?
So, yeah.
I think if he hasn't, then he probably will. But I don't know if he's going to tell anyone if he has or not.
I'm going to put it out there. I completely disagree with everyone here. I generally do not think he will take the vaccine, which would mean on that basis that he's not going to play the Australian Open. He's a man of principle. He's for me in a lot of other things. He'll stand by his guns, and he doesn't like the totalitarian aspect of having to do something based off the fact that everyone's sort of making you do it. He likes the freedom of choice. He's always stood up for that. And many times he was upset back in, what was it, when he had his elbow injury and he had to have the operation. Was that 2018?
2017, I think.
17. He was unhappy about that, having to do that, because he didn't want to have operations and stuff. He's someone who he believes in natural therapy
And
and
what did he do?
healing.
What was his decision at the end of the day with the
At the end of the day, his decision was to have the operation. So you could argue here he's going to have the vaccine, but I don't think he's going to. I think this is bigger than that. This is something which has divided the world. There's so many people who will fight for their life on the fact that they don't think it should be mandatory to be vaccinated. We have it in the comment section. We have it on the podcast. There's so many people who are so aggressive when it comes to this topic, and they're very strong-minded either side of it. I am not the strongest of mind on the side that you should be vaccinated. I understand it should be someone's choice. I'm totally for that. But in a situation where the Australian Open are making all the fans get vaccinated, then I think it should be totally fair that the players have to be vaccinated as well.
Yeah, I was very uncomfortable with in New York the idea that all fans, all umpires, all ball, or whatever, people involved in the sport, people chucking towels at players, etc., and receiving towels, sweaty towels from players, etc., all of these people had to be vaccinated. There was one group of people that didn't have to be vaccinated, and that was the players. So whether you think there should be a vaccine mandate or not, that is uncomfortable, because that's sort of putting, the players in one situation and almost forcing the rest of everyone to, to deal with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's kind of one rule for one and not a rule for everybody else. This type of thing, it's a choice at the end of the day. There's a lot of people who have a strong stance and they say that they don't want to get the vaccine. I know that I watch a lot of Joe Rogan, his podcast. He's one of these people who just thinks if you have the antibodies, that should be enough. And if you can fight it off, if you've already got the antibodies. And I think there are those set of people that think that you should just be allowed to naturally fight this. But unfortunately, when there's rules put in place for tournaments, you don't really have a choice in the matter. You either get vaccinated or you don't play, and that's what we sort of sat with at the moment.
So John, you're under the impression he's already been vaccinated, and you think he's already been vaccinated. Why do you think he's not come out and just said and put everyone's sort of peace of mind and been like, you know what, I'm gonna. He doesn't want the speculation, everyone talking about it. Then why don't you just come out to the press and be like, you know what, I've been vaccinated? Then everyone would just shut up about it. No one cares after that.
I think he was hoping that this problem would go away. I think he was hoping
COVID?
COVID, but also the vaccine question. Because actually, if for example, Tennis Australia and the Australian government and the Victorian government had all said, do you know what? We're going to make an exemption for players like New York did, or we're going to let people come in. There's going to be exceptions. Scott Morrison, the Australian Prime Minister, did hint at it, but basically he was overruled by the Victorian government, the state of Victoria, that are now insisting. So I think he was hoping that would not be the case, and therefore he could get away with not answering the question, and he could take the fifth on this forever. However, he's now in a situation where we're going to find out. And like I say, we'll see. In 4 to 6 weeks, we can do a 5-minute podcast on you or me explaining why we got it wrong.
Well, exactly. There's part of me, I know it wouldn't be that funny, but do you think that if he had it and he just sits at home, just sort of like chuckling on the sofa whilst everyone's going, has he had it? Like all these news stories going everywhere. And he's just sat there just thinking, God, this is funny, isn't it? I'll have to I could just tweet yes or no, and the whole world would explode with just like news that it had it or hadn't had it.
Listen, I'll happily put my hands up and say I was wrong. I don't think he's had it, and I don't think he's going to have it. That only means one thing. Unless they change their opinion on it and things change drastically in the world, then he's not going to be allowed to play. And that sounds crazy because it is an opportunity of a lifetime to get to 21. He's going to be the massive favourite going into it. It's going to be the biggest opportunity, I feel, because it's Roland Garros. It's not going to be as likely that he wins it than Australia. So everything would pose to sort of suggest that he should play it, and it's so important for him to play it, and it's going to be huge, and that is the most important thing for him, winning titles. But is it really? I feel like he is someone who stands up so much for human rights and what he believes in. He's quite a stubborn man, and I say that in a positive way. I'm pretty stubborn myself. I think it's good to have some stubbornness in you, and I don't think he's going to just change his opinion and be like, oh, you know what, I'm going to have the vaccine now, and go against a lot of the beliefs he has in a lot of things he says. And he believes in the freedom of an individual to decide what to do with their body. And that's why he doesn't disclose about it, because he doesn't think it's needed that people should know exactly whether or not his COVID status or even his injuries and stuff like that. He doesn't always want to disclose it. And I think a big reason he's not disclosing this one is because he knows there'll be a lot of people who will sort of, there'll be a level of uproar, the fact that he's not been vaccinated.
Should we have a look at the quote? Yeah. Sorry, John.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, this was just one. It was posted here on Twitter. It said, I haven't been talking to them, that being Tennis Australia. To be honest, I was just waiting to hear what the news is going to be. And now that I know, we'll just have to wait and see. I like the air of mystery that he leaves in his answers, though. It's almost like Eric Cantona-esque, the way that he's gone with this one.
I think if he'd said, now I have a decision to make, which is also a nice way to end that, then we would know that probably he's not vaccinated and he's going to have to make a decision. I also think if he's made the decision and his decision is not to go, then why not say it now? I think all of that, and especially that closing line of "we'll wait and see," suggests that it's not "we'll wait and see" and then he goes, "Ta-da, I'm not vaccinated." It's "let's wait and see. Ta-da, I'm in Melbourne and I'm about to win my 21st Grand Slam."
He's either not vaccinated or he's a massive attention seeker.
Ooh, JG.
No. Would you not agree with? Would you not say that that's fair? Like, because this is all. If he's actually vaccinated, this is all for like a big attention thing, right? Because everyone's talking about it. We're doing a podcast on it. Everyone's deliberating. Is he vaccinated? Is he not? It's all eyes on him, all attention. So he's either that or he's actually vaccinated,
or he plans to get vaccinated and he just hasn't done it yet. And he just doesn't, and he can't give the answer. He doesn't want to say, "Oh yeah, I'm just about to get it next week, mate." But
he's pushed into a corner now, and I think he's going to react.
Well, we'll wait and see. It's interesting. Let's have a look at obviously this one. That was just a picture someone's put there. I think it's Lorenzo there. We'll see if I'll be in Australia to defend my title. We have Medvedev. I saw his interview at the Nitto ATP finals. And he was saying, I will be at the Australian Open. As I said, I decided for my career not to talk about my medical issues. Is not only about vaccine, is about anything, is actually about my body. But the thing about Australia is clear. Anyone goes there is vaccinated. And that's why he said, it's strange why people keep asking me. I watched the interview and he said, I thought this was pretty obvious. If we knew this ages ago, why are people talking about it still? If you want to play Australia, you have to have a vaccine.
No, we didn't know that ages ago.
No, this is what he said in his interview. He said, we knew this already. Like, why are you asking me this again? He said, this is something
we knew that could have been a possibility because it's very strict in Australia, but no one knew it was going to be mandatory to have a vaccine.
Oh, no, but the way that he saw it, the way that he saw it in his head is, I'm going to have to be vaccinated to go Australia. That's the way it's not changed.
It was leading that way, yeah.
Yeah, he's not changed. It's in his mind. It's always been the case, really. So this hasn't changed anything for him. So,
well, he's another one who's not disclosed whether or not he's vaccinated or not, which is completely his right to do so. But he did put a tweet out the other day with the Australian Open title saying, "See you in Australia." So it makes you think.
Cryptic.
He's going to be there. He's vaccinated.
Well,
you reckon?
Well, he was in the final last time. I think he's got to go, Chris. He's just won the last hard.
It wasn't the title, sorry. The photo. I don't know if you've got the photo there, but there was just a photo of him with the shield. I'm assuming for being runner-up, saying we're gonna. I'll be there.
Yeah, then not on this one, unfortunately. But this is Zverev. He's speaking out. This is not about tennis. This is about the virus. We are visiting a different country and they're allowing us to enter. We need to follow the rules. Djokovic is #1 in the world, so he should be there. Hopefully the government will make an exemption or whatever.
Mate, this is the worst one ever. The worst take from Zverev. It's pretty shocking, if I'm honest.
Or whatever.
With everything what everyone said, it's not been too bad, but this is just the worst. Like how can he honestly say with his head held high that someone should be offered an exemption? What makes him, just because he's, listen, Djokovic, probably the best player to ever play tennis. Does that mean that he should then be exempt from following all the rules from everyone else?
I think this is more about his sort of off-court friendship, I guess, with Djokovic. And I know Djokovic has reached out to Zverev a few times in the last couple of years when Zverev has been getting bad press. So I think this is him kind of trying to sort of defend Djokovic a little bit. There has been a relationship between Djokovic and what's his name, Craig Tiley from either Tennis Australia, or he organises the Australian Open. There has been a very close relationship between those two, where we saw last year that Djokovic was one of the 3 players to get a sort of cushier deal, if you like, when he entered Australia along with Nadal and Medvedev, I think it was, that could basically go out walking and all sorts of stuff that the other players couldn't do. And we have seen this relationship between Djokovic and the Australian Open, where he has been, Craig Tiley walks out with a glass of champagne when he wins last year, and Djokovic says, "I don't drink champagne, but I'll drink it for you, Craig." We also saw a letter, I think, that Djokovic wrote to Craig Tiley, etc. So there has been this relationship building there, where and I think Djokovic was hoping that would be strong enough to beat the virus, but he's wrong.
Yeah, I genuinely think it was as well. That's what he was hoping for. He's not had any plans to get vaccinated. This is my opinion, of course. I don't think he's going to get vaccinated either. He was riding on the fact that it'll be okay. They'll just make him quarantine. He was hoping to get probably a villa again and just stay there and not have to do the hotel quarantine. It's not going to be the case. You have to be vaccinated now. So I'm not sure if he's going to be there. I'm going to make the statement to say Djokovic isn't going to play the Australian Open. With regards to what Zverev's saying here, I think this just makes him look shocking, if I'm honest. It's not a good look for the sport, especially the young players coming through. It's sort of golden spoon syndrome. Like, he's acting like a spoilt brat. And I hate the fact that he thinks, oh, he'll get some kind of exemption. Not a good look for him, and just a bit of a stupid statement all round. Do I think he really means it? Probably not. Yet again, probably just attention seeking.
Who knows? Or maybe, like John said, maybe just throwing element of defense for Djokovic, just to, hand of friendship.
Yeah, but it's not really much of a defense, is it?
It's a weird
I feel
one.
like all the Djokovic fans, the real ones, are looking at it thinking, what's wrong with you, Zverev? Like, why would he be exempt? Even Djokovic is probably thinking, that's just not a good look. I don't want to be exempt. That's not going to make me look good, is it?
Just him.
It's the worst optics you could possibly have. I don't think anyone would be in favour of this. It's not really much of a defence, is it?
Don't forget, Zverev and Djokovic have also courted COVID controversy, in the last 18 months by participating and organising tournaments in the midst of the pandemic, and also with him obviously being testing positive, I think, and then wandering around with his shirt off at parties, etc. So neither of them have really covered themselves in any glory here. So I guess he feels as though he can't really come and speak out here and say, yes, we should follow Tennis Australia because we need to take this virus seriously, because some journalists will go, hey, what about you last year? So I think, and also he's a tennis player, and tennis players are not always the smartest cookies when it comes to pandemic control. Let's say that.
We got Matthew in the live chat, just to go to this one, just saying, JG, relax. It was a post-match presser after a tough match. Give him a break. He was just speaking loosely. Maybe he was just pressed on it, and he just thought, oh, this is my answer to this question. Maybe he wasn't thinking straight and just gave a bit of a strange answer, but he obviously hasn't planned this answer. If he's coming out with
that. It's not a statement. It's not a statement he's planned and written up, is it? It's something which, in sort of the heat of a moment, he said.
Yeah.
But it's just still stupid, and I call it as what it is: stupid.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got to be careful what you say in the media. It's no matter who you're talking to, they'll snip.
Mate, just to sort of say that any player should receive any kind of exemption is just outright stupid. It's not that he wasn't thinking. You can't say something like that. Who do you think you are? What's wrong? Why are you different to all of the spectators there?
Who knows?
The only difference is you can play tennis and they can't.
Well, exactly. Maybe he knows something that goes on behind closed doors that we don't know. I don't know. Let's move on. Oh, no, that was not followed his statement. It's just sort of
fitting. This one in for John.
I think, yeah, I know. But actually, that's you, JG, there.
Yeah, it really is. Oh dear, yeah. I think that's quite a few people. That's maybe that
was actually my reaction to it. I was like, oh,
Zverev's manager or something at the time when they were watching him do the press.
No, it's probably Djokovic. I can imagine Djokovic's reaction was probably a bit embarrassed. He's like, what's he saying? This is just all it's going to do is bring more heat on this whole debate. It's not going to help, is it?
No, exactly. It's not. I'll go on to this last tweet that we've got here because it's somebody sort of pointing out all of the bad luck, apparently, that Djokovic has been facing, which was 2020 Wimbledon cancelled. US Open 2021, an incredibly unfair draw compared to the other finalists. Australian Open 2022, vaccine mandatory to play. Novak Djokovic's luck is a complete joke.
I've got
Is
three words, Ben. Rose tinted glasses.
Well, yeah, the other one I missed there. Sorry, the US Open 2020 defaulted over doing something that wasn't even intentional. But they're the rules, unfortunately. You can't just throw that. How's your luck? Yeah, it was bad luck, but sometimes these things happen. And, well, everybody suffered due to the Wimbledon being cancelled, not just Djokovic. Yeah, he would have been favourite, but might have had another standout performance. Someone else might have come through. Who knows?
Wait, I want to ask you a question, both of you. So that the second from last, Australian Open 2022, vaccine mandatory to play. Why is that a negative for Djokovic if he's vaccinated?
It's not. It's
No,
his luck.
why are
Apparently,
they assuming? Yeah, but why is it bad luck for Djokovic if we're
Well,
assuming that he's vaccinated? That's
well,
probably good news for him.
well,
It means it could be some players who aren't like Medvedev who aren't going to be there. It should give him a free run to go and win the Australian Open because he's fully vaccinated. But there may be a lot of players on tour who aren't vaccinated who can't go, which means there's going to be less competitors there who can actually challenge him. Maybe Medvedev's not vaccinated. No Tsitsipas.
Well, I went down the list because I looked down on Twitter just to see things relating to Djokovic, vaccine, and Australian Open. And the amount of people that are obviously Serbian and saying so happy that Djokovic is fighting our cause from Serbia, blah, blah, all of this type of stuff. All anti-vax people were happy with him being sort of like a spokesperson for them, really, by the sounds of it, which is, I don't think he's ever said that. But they all seem to think that because he hasn't given his stance, that is his position. And there's a lot of people sort of hoping that is his stance so that they can say, yes, we've got this guy as our spokesperson.
I'm surprised with you, John. I honestly thought you'd think he wasn't vaccinated. I'm surprised you think he is. I really am. Because I'm like more or less 95% sure he's not vaccinated right now.
I'll add something as well. I heard what you said about him being a man of honor and him sticking by his word and him being very passionate about many of the issues that he's raised. And I agree
Which
with
I
all
respect a lot about. I like that in him. I like that he stands for what he believes in. I think that's a cool trait to have. And it sort of it separates him from a lot of other people who are sort of yes men. I like the fact that he sticks to his guns. But let's call it as it is. He sticks to his guns. He's not someone who I think is going to want to be vaccinated. So if he does, and he's all of them things, then he's not going to play the Australian Open, and he's going to miss out on an opportunity which is massive to get to 21.
There is one thing that overrides all of that, in my opinion, regarding Djokovic, regarding his stance, and that is he's a competitor. And he wants to win Grand Slams. And we saw it with the elbow injury, as you said. Basically, someone says, listen, what's going to give me a better chance to win tennis tournaments? Having the operation or not having the operation? Having the operation. You know, I'm sure he's ingested other medical things to help him get through other pains, whether it be painkillers or whatever. So ultimately, he's a competitor, and that will override everything, whether it be a few comments he made about the vaccine 18 months ago or whatever. He wants to be in Australia desperately, and he wants to win a 21st Grand Slam.
The one thing about that operation, though, for 3 days afterwards, I'm not sure if it was before or after, he was very, very upset. It affected him massively. There's some really in-depth quotes he had at the time on how he was feeling to make that decision to operate on. A lot of people, they wouldn't think twice. I think, oh, if an operation helps me, I'll do it. But he is very against that kind of things. He believes in natural remedies. He's been very open in all of this. And his stance on vaccines in general has never been in agreement with them. So I don't think that's going to change here. I respect what you have to say. There's a lot of people who agree with what you're saying. I just think he's not been vaccinated. I don't think he's going to either.
We'll see. We'll see.
We've got Michael here saying, look how he behaved at the Olympics. He left it for the last minute, which probably what he's trying to do here, like trying to just leave everything to leave his release of his statement to everything to the last minute. He probably just wants, like you were saying, he was probably waiting to see what was going to happen. Like he was probably hoping you could do the quarantine for 2 weeks or that, waiting to see if he's backed into a corner, like John was saying as well. And if that is the case now, I think we've JG is pretty adamant he won't be vaccinated. He will not go to Australia. John, you sound like you think he's already been vaccinated and he's not saying anything. And
I think he's either not vaccinated and he will get, but either way, he will be in Australia as a vaccinated human being.
Well, this is what I think. So that's why I was going to say we could have 3 different stances here. And I think that he possibly hasn't and will get vaccinated. So we could have 3 complete different stances on it. But I think I'm with you on I'm not sure how many more years he has left to win at all the Grand Slams. So you've seen how close Medvedev's running him now. And if Medvedev picks up another one, it's going to be even more difficult. That'll be 2 hard-court slams in a row that Djokovic probably wouldn't have won. And Medvedev might start picking up the mental edge. Like, oh, look, I'm getting a knack for this now. And Djokovic wants to get double figures as well in Australia. That should be of note as well. 10 Australian Opens sounds a lot better than 9. And 21 Grand Slams sounds a lot better than 20. And you're standalone at the top of the mountain. And all it takes is a little jab. And you can go there and get to the top and overtake Mr. Rafa. That's probably why JG's hoping.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to let you
it's
say
that. Look, he's going to jump in straight
here.
away. It's like, he's not playing. Rafa will remain
No.
until Roland Garros, and he'll win Roland Garros and get 21. I can see it now.
Okay, so wait, I forgot what I was going to say now because you've completely distracted me.
His mind's gone into anger mode as soon as the word Rafa comes up.
Let's say he doesn't take the vaccine. Let's say if he's not able to play the Australian Open, what will your thoughts be on him then? Because I would have a lot of respect for him. I would think fair play. He's had this stance from day one. He's stuck by it, and he's not going to play. Hats off to him, man of his word.
Yeah, it's his decision. At the end of the day,
so would you have a lot of respect for him if he skips this opportunity to play Australia?
I think it is it's totally his decision. If he doesn't want to, I still think that he's the favourite to win Wimbledon. He could still win Roland Garros as well.
JG, there's one thing we're not remembering here. The other slams may follow suit.
Oh,
yeah, that's true.
I
don't think they're going to, though.
No,
we'll see. I think France and Macron, as a government, for example, are very passionate about their vaccination. They've invested a lot of money in advertising and tried to be quite aggressive. Of course, there's been protests in France like there have been elsewhere. But if Australia, also the other slams can then introduce and say, well, we're just, don't have a go at us. You can't have a go at us.
Following on from Australia, yeah, that would be really an interesting dynamic because you couldn't see Djokovic missing all the slams in the year, would it?
And then other tournaments too. So I think that's why he'll get.
I think his hand would have to be forced there, and he would have to. I don't know. He'd just have to, wouldn't he?
Then he'll miss it to Australia.
Well, there's part of me that thinks that he is still in with a real massive shot next year of doing a calendar year Grand Slam again. If he was to play, and he has to play Australia to be able to do it. I don't think he has many more years left to be able to achieve something like that. And I think he could do it because I think he can win Roland Garros again. He can win Australia. He can definitely win Wimbledon. And if he doesn't have the Olympics in the middle of all of it, he could probably win the US Open as well. So I think he has an opportunity to do it, but he doesn't have many years left to achieve that great thing of a calendar year slam. I still think that next year he could be on top of the pile again, doing it all.
Yeah. We did have a question in earlier. I can't find it now. Talking about, is it possible that he can still get it? Like, how long do you need between getting both jabs? But that's not. I think you've got age it. Like, I think they've reduced it now. Yeah. It's like 4 weeks, is it?
Yeah. So he's got plenty of time.
It was 6 weeks. It's 8 weeks at the start.
It's 8 weeks at the start. So.
Yeah, I think they reduced it to like a month though. So,
so that shouldn't be an issue. He's still got plenty of time. If he hasn't had it yet, he can still opt to have it. But that's obviously up to him.
Definitely is. Wow, that was a rather heated debate. Oh, let me change the background back. There you go.
There is one person who we probably don't think will be there, and that's Stefanos Tsitsipas.
Yeah, I think we should probably end on that. Tsitsipas, as we know, he's having a few issues with his elbow as well. Is that right?
Yes.
And he's had the same doctor of what Djokovic had back in 2017 look at the elbow. And it seems like he's going to have to be operated on, which would mean he's going to be out for a while. And you'd think probably the next time we'll see Tsitsipas on the court will be the clay court swing.
Probably, yeah.
Best. So not the as long as he's back. That's the thing. I'm hoping he comes back for Roland Garros more than anything. Because I thought he was just super unlucky. Obviously, he had terrible news just before the final, all of that type of thing. Just did great. I just want to see him back to his best again, Tsitsipas. So best wishes sent out to yourself and
Yep.
your team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything left to say, guys?
Well, I just want to finish on the I don't know if somebody mentioned it or I've just thought of it. Novak Djokovic. I mean, that's just got to be the headline in the tabloids, surely.
There's a journalist in him. That's brilliant. I like it. Maybe that should have been the headline of the pod. I don't know, but we'll wait and see. If it turns out that he doesn't get it, that will be on all the front pages and back pages, I'm sure, John.
Yeah, and you can both apologise to me on the next podcast we have. But
I would,
until then,
I'll be delighted to apologise to you, Deji.
no, I don't want an apology. It's great that everyone's got a different opinion in tennis. That's what makes it so great. Let us know your comment, your opinion in the comment section on this topic. I know it's controversial, but make sure leave us a comment, hit the like button if you haven't already, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you guys probably tomorrow for more tennis podcasts. We'll be discussing obviously the ATP finals and plenty more, which is upcoming in the tennis schedule.
Yes, we will. See you then, guys.
See you guys.
See you in a bit.